Welcome to the Week 7 Power Rankings. This is the Outlaws podcast, and joining me today on the show is Nick S., Ben for the third straight week, and the devil himself, Drew Weddle. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. I'm watching ready to go.
This is the challenge of having four different voices over the phone when you can't see each other in person. People tend to talk at the same time. Drew, you've had a pretty successful week after a very long week of whining. I went back and looked at Derek's stats. They were good, but they weren't great, so I don't really know what all the whining was about. Why don't you explain?
His team collapsed over the weekend. Today he doesn't have a single stat in any category offensively, so he was top of the league in RBI and homers going into Friday, and then things just completely fell apart. Still ended up with 10 homers.
How come you never say anything when he's having a really bad game, like a really bad day? Man, Derek's team's doing absolutely nothing against me today.
I guess that's just not my style. I'm very happy with the way things turned out. I will say, I'll save that part for the podcast, but...
This is the podcast, but you mean the Power Rankings?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I've lost my touch.
Well,
he's going to wait to make all his great points when we're recording.
Oh, Ben, you were upset this week. I was surprised, but John's team really came on strong. Hunter Pence gave him a big lift here the last couple of days after his return. What happened this week?
Yeah, just a collapse on the weekend. Just a tale of two cities, a tale of two teams right there. You know, I was feeling pretty confident up all week, and then Friday, Saturday rolled around, and John just unleashed hell, man. He just caught fire. Yeah, like you said, Hunter Pence came back strong. His hitters all had a strong weekend. Our team just absolutely sucked their ass today. Crushing way to go, crushing defeat for sure. Old Luke John B came back and handed me my ass, so it's going to be chin up, cheer up. I'm going to have to regroup the troops, re-rally, and tomorrow will be a new week, a new day.
How much longer is Desclafani going to be on your team?
It's tough to say.
All right, well, that's I guess we'll see what happens in the morning. I have a feeling he might be off your team, but we'll see. And
I'm willing to bet that Desclafani and J.D. Martinez could be had in a nice package deal if anyone who wanted to make the right offer.
Oh, I think everybody in the league has seen J.D. Martinez in a trade offer in the last week. And lastly,
what, you don't want David Price?
So JD,
I do want to say something real fast. I have not received one single offer for David Price. Me and Seth completed that trade, which I thought was interesting, but not surprised.
No, well, I don't know if that's true, Ben, because and I know this is a little bit of a joke. You might want to explain exactly what the offer was, but it looked like to me that you and Seth were talking about a David Price trade, something involving Salazar.
Oh yeah, I offered Seth a joke trade. What was it? I have all the text saved. I offered him, I use the word offered in quotation marks because there was no way I was going to do it even if he agreed to it. I was just kind of to see how he responded to it. It was David Price, Johnny Cueto, and who else was it? And Michael Pineda or Dallas Keuchel, either one, his choice, for Danny Salazar and Jake Arrieta straight up, and he told me he didn't want to do it. He said he liked Arrieta better than Cueto. And, yeah, long story short, he didn't want to do it, so I didn't even get to deliver the punchline because he didn't even agree to it, so it just kind of fizzled out. But, yeah, I've got the text saved, so I can send it out to the group message if we ever need to.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, gosh.
He might even be more short-sighted than you are in this league. That's hard to do that.
Yeah, it's just tough to gauge how he values players. I mean, I know I'm all about the hot hand, but I guess Seth more than anybody. What have you done for me lately? If you had a good last game, he wants you. If you had a bad last game, he's finished with you. So, tough to say. I like Seth. Love having him in the league. Good guy, but I just don't understand his fantasy reasoning at all.
The way he was talking up his stuff last week with names like J.A. Happ, I'm wondering if he would have done a J.A. Happ for Johnny Cueto trade last week.
tough to say.
Nick, this week you won, or it looks like you're up 6-4 on the Ghost of Boo, who's been extremely quiet as of late. Not exactly surprising there. Just tell me on your thoughts on the week.
On the week that I had,
yeah.
I was happy. I was happy to escape with a victory. The pitching was not very good at all this week. Mike Lee melted down Saturday night, gave up 9 runs in 4 innings. Picked up Cologne for a spot start, and he got shelled as well. So the offense came through fortunately, and then I had enough saves, but yeah, I made a trade. Thought I got made the pitching a little bit better, but I'm just happy to get out with a win and look forward to playing Jordan this week.
All right. Well, you went ahead and mentioned it. I wanted to go ahead and jump into that trade as well. So that trade is currently pending right now. It'll probably go through overnight, I guess. It's Anibal Sanchez. Jordan is shipping out Anibal Sanchez for Mookie Betts. Why don't I hear the thoughts from Ben and Drew, and then I'll give my own thoughts on that trade.
Go ahead, Drew. Take it away. I don't have any thoughts.
No thoughts? What do you mean? You don't prefer a side or what? I mean, those aren't just like.
I'm pretty much of the same mindset as Drew. However, I do want to point out, I feel like if this had been a trade, I feel like if Seth had been trading away Sanchez, and for whatever, I feel like there'd be outcry league wide if that was the case.
You know, Drew, I'm surprised you didn't have any opinion on this because I think Mookie Betts has an O rank in the 50s.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd rather have that, but
I'm of the mindset. I mean, I like the deal for Nick just because, as we already have covered, throughout the history of this, throughout the season, pitching is hard to come by, and I do like the deal a little bit better for Nick. Not that Sanchez is a top tier pitcher or anything, but he's a good solid pitcher. And Betts, I don't know. I haven't been on the Betts fan wagon like some of you guys have, so I like it a little bit better for Nick. But I kind of know the mindset of Drew. Who cares?
I actually liked the trade a little bit for Jordan. Maybe I'm, buying in too much of the hype of Mookie Betts, and I realize that he's hitting like 220 right now. But he's always hit for a high average in the minors. I feel like that's going to turn around pretty soon. Anibal Sanchez obviously is no scrub to get back in return, and like you said, if you want to have to get a good starting pitcher in this league, you're probably going to have to give up a very, very good hitter in order to get one. I wasn't shocked by the type of player that Nick had to give up to get a player of the caliber of Anibal Sanchez, but I do think I like Mookie Betts a little bit more. Nick, were you shipping out? I got a lot of trade offers from you with Cole, Calhoun. Were you was that kind of an either or situation? Were you trading either Calhoun or Betts, or what, did you have one ranked higher than the other?
Yeah, I mean, somebody had to go. I mean, if you look at my roster, I've got two guys on the DL, one being LaCroix, who's going to come back probably by the end of the month, and he'll replace Swihart. But then I've got David Wright coming back probably early June, first week or so of June. And so some of these hitters are going to have to go, and I need to get pitchers in return. Ideally, I wanted to move Calhoun, but when I sat down and thought about it, is there really going to be a huge difference at the end of the year between Mookie Betts and Denard Span? I don't know, because with the way Boston's offense is, which hasn't been great, Mookie Betts last week, 3 RBIs and a 120 average. He hasn't had stolen base, I think, in over 2 weeks, something like that. He felt like a safe piece to move to bring in a guy that pitches for a team that's going to win a lot of games.
That's a good point. The pickup of Span, he could be, maybe 80 or 90% of what Mookie Betts is going to give you, so that makes sense. So the big question.
Think about what Washington's offense has been doing. I mean, and it seems like he's involved every game, whether it's a run or a steal or something. So he's contributing every night.
And Mookie Betts, what's the deal with this guy? Why is he so? I mean, I get he's a top type prospect or something, but is this guy really that good?
I guess in the
last year, I think it was towards the end of the year, he was on fire. I mean, he was world beater when he came up. And what I was kind of looking for this year was what I thought was going to be this year's Altuve. That just didn't happen. I just don't think he's going to hit for a high enough average. I think it's going to be at best 250. And I just don't. I don't like Boston. I think they're going to fall apart here pretty soon. Unless they get some pitching.
Yeah, I guess I see Mookie Betts, and I know it's hard to see right now, but I kind of see him more as a 280 hitter that'll get you 15 home runs and 25 or 30 steals. But that's obviously optimistic considering he has got very short track record, so I wouldn't be at all surprised to see him kind of flame out either.
I think the trade benefits both teams. I mean, I don't know if I don't think anybody won or lost that trade, but I think it filled needs for both teams. Jordan's outfield, he's got McCutcheon and Braun, but I think he's been rotating through people like Angel Pagan, Leonis Martin. He needed a third person to really solidify out there, and I think it helped him in that way. And he said he wanted speed, so that's why we went with Betts over Calvin.
In a way, I kind of think of this as a Joey trade where you name your team after a player for a few weeks, and then you actually end up trading away that player. So,
Nick, you did appear to be pretty high on Mookie coming into the stats to say coming into week 1.
I thought the name just worked, so I went with that. And, I mean, who doesn't like a guy named Newton? But at the end of the day, as much as I like here to get some pitching.
All right, let's move on to the second trade, and I don't really know why, but this seemed to be the much more controversial trade of the two. We probably should have let off the show with this one. So this is the bearer of a lot of jokes for Seth. Starlin Castro for Matt Cain. Nick and Ben, you guys had actually all three of you seem to have a pretty big deal with it, and I do understand your points. And I can see the argument that Starlin Castro should be owned, and obviously in a 12-team league where it's a little deeper and that's a short, slim position, but it didn't seem like anybody was really going to give him much in return at the same time. So you guys just go ahead and take it away. Tell me, I know we already went over this a lot over the text messages, but just give me your brief thoughts on it.
Well, I mean, I'll start, and I want to ask you a question, Ryan. You were the biggest defender, I think, of Seth in this deal, and I don't know if it's because, I mean, he's basically been a feeder team for you all year, but I was trying to figure out, you can't tell me that with that Cubs offense and the way he produces, Starlin Castro is not a top 7 shortstop or so in a 12-team league.
Top 7? I don't know. I could see him doing that with the way that he hit 3 years ago or so. But his power and his just homers and steals in general have been on the decline the last 3 years, and obviously he's off to a decent start this year. But I don't know. I think he's far from a sure thing.
But I fall somewhere in the middle of this. I mean, I can see Ryan's side and everyone else's side, and I do want to say that Ryan, I feel like he is obligated to defend any trade after those 2 pitchers that were given to him earlier in the year. So I can see where Ryan's coming from that. Not that I think the trade's completely unfair, but I mean, if Seth wanted a pitcher on the DL, there's about 6 or 7 pitchers that are coming back around the All-Star break he could have had for free. So I don't know why he wanted Matt Cain so bad.
That's a good point. That is the one part of the trade, I guess, that didn't make sense to me. Is out of all the guys that he could have picked to stash away, why Matt Cain, who had no clear timetable to return, he may have been able to get.
Even if Matt Cain comes back, I mean, he's sucked for like 2 or 3 years now. So there's better pitchers out there that are coming back.
Valid point. Yeah, that's a valid point. And
why wouldn't you rather have Castro than Soler?
Oh, I would much rather have Soler.
I mean, I don't know. Castro's having a better year than Soler right now, and
the only thing in Seth's defense is, I mean, and I think Ryan probably said this in the text. I mean, as stingy as this league is, I doubt Seth could have gotten anything for Castro. So.
Well, let's do a quick pop quiz here, okay? Castro is currently the 8th ranked shortstop in the league overall. Okay, so he's top 12 shortstop. And let me give you some of the names that are above him right now in the rankings. You tell me if this is a better shortstop than Starlin Castro. Marcus Semien, who of course Seth owns and is going to run with for the rest of the year because he's having a great month. But is Marcus Semien a better shortstop than Starlin Castro?
I don't know. I don't know on that. Semien doesn't have much of a track record, so it's hard for me to say. But he's obviously off to a great start. That one is kind of a toss-up to me. I really don't have a strong opinion on it.
Brandon Crawford.
Probably
not.
I
don't know. I actually think they're about the same. Like Crawford, it seems like every year now he gets up to this incredibly hot start and then just completely drops off.
I'll go Starlin there.
Yeah, and then Zach Kozar.
I'll definitely go Starlin there.
Zach Kozar.
I'll definitely go Starlin there. But I feel like there's probably a few names below him as well. I know Tulowitzki's off to a horrible start. He's got to be below him. There's probably a handful of guys that are below him. We're ranked 8th. I would choose over Starlin as well.
Yeah.
I think we're spending too much time on a trade that, I mean, it's not going to really affect anything either way. Other than the fact that Seth will probably cut Matt Cain in a week or 2.
Now, how about the story that got swept under the rug this week? Look who got picked up this week. Alex Guerrero.
Dude, I saw some report on earlier in the week. It's like Natalie says he's got to get Guerrero playing time now. He says they're going to be shifting off Uribe. I saw some reports that said it sounds like Guerrero might be playing every day, and sure enough, pick him up and he doesn't play for the next 2 games or something like that. So he will be cut tomorrow morning. I'm not taking 3 cents.
we'll see. You know, he's probably going to end up being one of those guys that could arguably be the player picked up more than anybody else if he keeps getting, you know, up and down with the playing time. 'Cause I think everybody wants him if they know he's playing every day.
For sure.
All right, let's just jump into the power rankings then. Go ahead.
Let's do one other thing real quick. One more quick update real quick. I don't want to take up too much time. But as far as second basemen go, can anybody tell me who the top 3 ranked second basemen are right now in the league?
One of them's got to be Altuve.
Altuve's
Jason Kipnis. Kipnis got to be in there.
Kipnis has got to be.
Kipnis is number 3, baby. That's exactly where he is. Number 3
Kipnis.
Sitting on Michael's utility spot.
So let's real fast. What was the bigger scrub move? Dropping Weaver or dropping Kipnis?
Drew. Last I looked, he's up to hitting like 320 or 330 right now.
I was freaking tearing it up.
I was looking at the waiver wire today. He's the number 33 ranked player on the season. He's the number 2 player over the last 14 days.
And most important is 7 day. Go ahead. Tell us the 7 day stat.
Oh, he's number 2 in the last 7 days as well. But and obviously number 2 over the last 14 days. I cut him 14 days ago. Should have just had a little more patience, I guess. That one hurt.
Hard to find room on your team for a 340 hitter.
Especially one of those guys who's Josh Harrison. You don't want to cut ties with him.
Drew, I was just surprised that you were willing to cut him since you spent $19 on him. I mean,
all right.
I mean, that's a big investment, and that was not one of those situations where Ben fake spent $18 on Jared Weaver. You legitimately spent $19 on Kipnis.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't have been $19. He probably should have been 12 or 13. But still, that was a mistake. In my defense, he was ranked like 1,081 somewhere in there when I cut him, and was by far the worst.
So where the hell do you think Jared Weaver was ranked when I cut him?
Well, that's a valid point. But I don't know. I don't want to talk about Kipnis anymore.
All right. Well,
Power rankings it is.
Power rankings it is, and at number 12 we have we got the same team. The Right Reverend Deck at number 12.
Hard to go away from Seth at number 12.
I'm trying to.
It's tough to see if Seth's psyche is damaged at all this week. Because last week it sounded like he wasn't phased whatsoever. So we'll see.
It sounded like he thought he had top 3 team. But I gotta say this, and I gotta go ahead and apologize to the Shem brothers, because as we've gone through these first few weeks, and I've watched what Seth has done. If he was anybody but my brother, I would be ripping him apart. And so it kind of makes what Esham did last year look not quite as bad, because Seth made a few of these moves, and I'm hoping it's just a rookie year thing, and he understands you can't keep giving away assets like this, or you're going to be left with a pile of poop.
And I do want to be clear, Seth, just so you know, and you can hear this publicly, I am going to give you crap all year long for everything you do after what Drew did to both of my brothers. Okay? It's not going to stop. Don't go to sleep, because it's going to keep coming.
That's fair.
Now, to be a little...
I feel like Seth just kind of takes it on the chin and just unfazed by it.
He hasn't come close to quitting like Brandon.
I was just going to say, to be fair, he actually had a pretty decent week. His pitching, which is what I'm most skeptical about, was really good this week with a 1.11 WHIP, a 3.31 ERA. But obviously, I'm very skeptical that that'll continue. I don't really care for the staff outside of maybe Salazar and Arrieta. And you know what? This is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think Clay Buchholz is going to be pretty good this year, despite his bad numbers.
That's an unpopular opinion.
And his offense was, I know that Seth thinks he's got the best offense in the league or whatever. It was just okay, but not good nor bad. But I don't know. He's got to be the number 12 team right now, given his position in the standings, and that. I just don't care for this staff at all. I think, I said a couple weeks ago, I think Brandon has the worst staff in the league. I don't know. Obviously his staff outpitched mine this week. But pitching is a very tricky thing week to week with the matchups and whether or not you've got one or two start pitchers. So Seth was okay this week pitching wise, but that's really the area I've got the most concern for.
I don't want to talk at all about Seth's team. I had to listen to it for an hour last week, so.
All right. Well, let's talk about one of your brother's team because I got Uncle E back at number 11.
Uncle E.
Now, is this guy Nick? I'm sure you talk to him frequently. What? I mean, is he a ghost or what's this guy's deal? I mean, I know he's on the group text, but
Well, and I think that's a big part of it because he's not doing much posting at all. I mean, everything's happening in the group text. He got left out. I mean, he texted me tonight and said, if I can get a steal out of Wong or a little bit of power out of Carpenter, I have a chance to win 6-4-7-3 or 6-3-7-3. So he's tracking it, and I mean, he's staying involved. I don't think he's forgot to put in any pictures or anything like that. I mean, he made sure to get Shelby Miller in there today.
Yeah, he had a really strong week. So this is kind of one of those things in the power rankings where it's hard for me to realize if I should move somebody up so much over what they did for 1 week when he's been kind of lacking a little bit in previous weeks. But very strong week for Uncle E. Although he's only up 5-4, but he probably deserves a little bit better than that.
Yeah, he's been a clear-cut bottom two team, and I guess you got to keep him there this week. But what this does is definitely makes you consider moving him up if he backs this up with another weekend. Like I said, very impressive weekend. Glad it came against the gold medalist who is losing.
I don't even know who anybody's team is anymore. I mean, everybody went with this whole wrestling thing now. So is that Jordan, gold medalist? Yeah, that's Jordan.
Yeah, that's Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah, you might need to remind us of these team names as we're going through the power rankings so we can actually make sure we're clicking on the right team.
All right, and Nick, I just want to get as a Cardinals fan, give me your opinion on what Shelby Miller has done since going to the Braves. An out away from throwing a no-hitter today.
Well, I mean, now that Wainwright's out for the year, I mean, it has to be pretty discouraging. I mean, I don't know. I think at the time I was pretty excited about the trade because you always think about the potential of Jason Hayward. And I think what we do is we lost the Cardinals anyway, lost a 25 to 30 home run year, a guy in a car accident. And what they got back was a great defender, and in return gave up a great pitcher. Obviously, he's showing it this year, finally breaking out. But I also heard rumors that he was pretty discontent in the clubhouse as well.
2 shutouts for Shelby Miller in his last 3 games. Today, obviously, like I said, an out away from going for the no-hitter. He's had looking at his schedule now, he's had a lot of cupcake matchups. I mean, all of them have been really, really favorable matchups except for one game at Toronto. He still pitched pretty good in that game. Shelby Miller, I mean, he had a 1.50 ERA heading into today before he had a shutout, which is amazing. He's probably the number 1 pitcher after today, I would think.
And it was against a team that just fired their manager after the game. So.
All right, let's move on to the number 10 team in the power rankings. At number 10, I've got Derek's team, and did he change his team name? Somebody help me out here.
No, he's still
yeah.
All right, so Garden Hoser down 8-2 to March of the Penguin. And by the way, Drew, I got to tell you, I normally don't care for most of your team names, but this has got to be one of your best. I love March of the Penguin.
I actually agree. I actually laughed when I saw the title. It has nothing to do with wrestling.
Yeah.
I actually got on there, and I saw there was originally just the Penguin, which is a little inside joke, and then I saw he changed it to March of the Penguin.
Yeah, so Drew, why don't you just briefly explain what it means, because Nick probably has no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so there was this girl in college that I really liked, and Ben thought she was really hot too. And
that's debatable.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, she was cute.
Is this the infamous Laura Loefman?
This is the infamous.
You should probably beat the name. I'd probably beat that name out.
Well, this is the infamous Laura Loefman, and me and Ben were at her house, and she mentioned that she was going to be dressing up as Catwoman for this Halloween party, and me and Ben both looked at each other and both thought, I bet that's going to be nice. And she goes, you could go with me, and I was thinking, oh, sweet, Robin, Batman, I could do this. She goes, yeah, you could be the Penguin. And which was it just told me exactly what she thought of me, and right then I knew it wasn't going to happen. So
that puts you in place. Nice.
It was an epic moment.
So to get back on topic, number 10, Gardenhoser losing 8-2 this week, and just shows you the kind of the balance of the league. He did have a good. I mean, it wasn't a great week, but it was a very solid week. Decent pitching for Derek, but you just crushed him 8-2 this week. Encarnacion somehow hit 4 home runs with a 182 average. Chris Bryant really came alive this week, but once again, got to point out Derek, who had been a little fortunate with his record, in my opinion, heading into this week, just being half a game under 500. He took a beating this week, 8-2.
Yeah, I would have never known Chris Bryant came out since no one had texted in the group text message with every time he hit a home run. So that's actually the first time I've heard about it.
Oh, trust me, I saw it. You know, I think the problem with Derek's team is that he's got one relief pitcher who's not a closer, and he's got 2 bench hitters. So he's obviously going to be outnumbered as far as starting pitchers go week to week, unless he has a crazy number of guys with 2-start week. And I think that really hurts. And what really hurts more than that is when you have those bench hitters and you don't substitute them when guys in your lineup aren't going to play. He made that mistake with Chris Carter last night, cost him a home run and 3 RBIs, and cost him today. Alexi Ramirez could have gotten him in there. Well, it didn't. Oh, actually, it did cost him 2 for 4, so that would have given him average. So if you're going to carry those bench hitters, you really got to be on top of your lineup, and Derek doesn't have the greatest track history of doing that.
Yeah, Derek just doesn't seem to have quite the same fire he normally has this season. Like you said, he's 2 bench hitters just doesn't seem like something Derek would normally the way he would manage his team. And I did notice that Chris Carter home run on the bench yesterday. I got to ask you, since you pointed out the relief pitcher that's not a closer, you've got one of yourself. Obviously, Betances has been great this year. Wade Davis has been equally as great. So is Betances somebody? Is he sticking around for the long haul or what?
I think he is. I mean, until he at least gives up an earned run. I mean,
if you know, one thing that you got to like about Betances' situation is that you know that whenever they have a home game, if he comes in the 8th inning and they're already up by like 5 runs, they might just arbitrarily just award him a win for no exact reason.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy. So how does that work? No one explained that to me. Is it just up to the scorer?
I mean, 99% of the time they're going to give it to whoever gets to the 5th inning if they keep the lead the entire game. This guy just arbitrarily, I mean, there's a little bit of leeway with it, and he just awarded it to Betances. My guess is to try to get him for the All-Star game, try to pad his stats a little bit.
Is there really no clear definition for how you get a win?
Well, in that situation, because the starter came out before the 5th inning, so usually if they have to lead the entire game, it's whoever gets to the 5th inning. And in this situation, they had to lead the whole game. Betances came in the 7th with 2 outs, got 4 outs. One of them, by the way, was hit to the warning track, was almost a home run, but he awarded Betances the win.
I believe that if the starter doesn't go 5 innings, then it does become scorer's discretion.
Yeah.
I think it's based on who brought the most value to the game at that point, but the starter has to go 5 once he's the starting pitcher of record, right?
Yes, that's correct. It's kind of like one of the situations where they sometimes give somebody a save when they pitch like the last 4 innings of a game when they're up by 12 runs. I don't really know why they are allowed to do that, but there is a rule like that where you can, if you pitch that extended of a time, where you can actually give somebody a save, but it's up to the scorer's discretion. But anyway.
Another reason why we need to scrap wins, right, Ben?
That just makes it even more of a garbage stat to me after hearing that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Get a win now.
It's hard for me to say because I think that Quality Starts has some problems with it too. There's really no good solution. I mean, is it, for example, you have to have a minimum of 6 innings with 3 earned runs or less, but if you pitch 8 innings and give up 4 runs, that's the same ERA, but you don't get a quality win for that. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but I mean, it's better than giving up 8 runs and somehow your team scoring 12 runs, you still get the win.
Yeah, it probably is a better measure.
I mean, you're still going to get rewarded for strikeouts and ERA and WHIP.
Yeah, it is probably a more accurate measure. And if we did do that next year, that would certainly change the strategy on draft day for me. I'd be going a little bit heavier for pitching right off the bat.
I don't know. I think if you're going to give up wins, we might as well give away touchdowns in football. I think it's fun, and fantasy baseball is so much about strategy and so much. It's nice to have some aspects of luck in the game because there's not much in it. So I like having the wins. I know we're off topic, but do y'all know what Dylan Betances' rank on the season is right now?
I don't know.
Like, throw out a guess.
38.
Oh, 27.
He's got like 5 wins.
Yeah, that's closer than I thought y'all be. He's the 28th ranked player on the season according to Yahoo.
But sounds like your Mario Moon ranking.
All right, let's move it on to the power rankings. At number 9, I've got Brandon Brahmabul. He had a very, I won't even say that he had a really strong week. He did have a good week. My team did not have a good week, but Brandon, he ended my run of the Shimmer Dominance. I had beaten the first 2 Shimmers earlier this year, and in a rematch of what our finals was last year, Brandon got the best of me this week.
Oh, Brandon. I'm glad he beat you. I needed you to lose since I lost this week, so yeah, go Brandon.
Well, I'm down to like 6th in the standings right now, so that was a big hit, and it still could get a little bit worse. He's only down by 2 runs and 1 steal, and he's got 2 players going in the game right now in the 5th inning. He's got Cabrera and Cespedes, but yeah, not a good week for me. But let's talk about Brandon's team. Miguel Cabrera really came alive this week. 4 home runs, 9 RBIs, 391 average. Where do you rank Miguel on the season? Would you take? I mean, I know that Ben, you can be somewhat reactionary at times. Would you rather have Cabrera or Trout?
Ben, who was that question for? No, that's for Ben. Okay.
Oh, you talking to me? What did you say? What's the question?
Cabrera.
Trout?
Yes.
Were you watching an old wrestling video?
I actually rank him about it. Honestly, I don't think Trout's like the clear-cut number 1 anymore. I mean, he's definitely a top 5 player, but I mean, if he's not going to get all those steals, I don't see what separates him from somebody like a Paul Goldschmidt or Miguel Cabrera or somebody. I mean, I think he's equal to those other players. I personally would rather have Goldschmidt. I actually probably would rather have Miguel Cabrera than Trout. I don't know.
What about you, Nick?
I think it takes for most players.
Yeah, I think right now it's sort of like Cabrera, Goldschmidt, and Rizzo are sort of right there. Those are like 3 players that seem to be the highest producers, and probably even ahead of Trout. And I think you have to, the way he started out as far as you have to put Bryce Harper up there as well.
Yeah, he's been insane.
Yeah, that's gonna fall apart real soon.
I don't know. He's still the 30 youngest player in baseball. I mean, we're not talking.
He's only 22 or something.
Yeah, but I don't mind that. I'm shocked. After 5 weeks, you're calling Trout not a top 3 player. I think that.
I said he was a top 5 player. If you go back, rewind it 1 minute, I said I still think he's top 5, but I think someone like a Goldschmidt's more valuable. I mean,
my reasoning is I said top 3.
I think that's debatable.
Miguel Cabrera just laid down a bunt and got. No, never mind. I got confused. He's on deck. I was like, what the heck did I just see? Ian Kinsler, bunt single. Anyway, back on track.
If Trout's not gonna be getting you 40, 50 steals, there's really not that big a separation between him and some of those other big sluggers. And if the average is kind of, I mean, what did he get last year? 300, I guess, which is still good. But I feel like he strikes out a lot, so I don't know if that average is going to be able to stay up at 300 or not.
That's a sneaky thing about Trout. He does strike out a ton, a lot more than you would think. I think he struck out like a 4th of his at-bats last year, something really, really high.
Yeah, I had him last year for quite a while. I can tell you, it got kind of frustrating. He had some cool spells.
Interesting thing for Brandon's team this year. This week he picked up Mike Bolsinger, former Razorback, and he came out and got 2 wins, a .77 ERA, and a 103 WHIP. Any chance that Bolsinger is the real deal, Ben?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Can you repeat that?
Any chance that Mike Bolsinger's the real deal after 2 wins and a .77 ERA this week, the former Razorback?
You just do that on purpose. I have no idea who that is.
All right. Well, I guess we better move it along then. One last thing.
Well,
I'd like to get some of your opinions. Okay. I was just going to say, what do you guys think about Patrick Corbin? He picked him up this week to stash. He's going to be back pretty soon. Do you think that he could pan out?
Yeah, I was going to pick up Corbin, but I don't have any DL spots left. I've already got 3 guys on the DL. So I think that's I mean, he's riding a lot of hot hands right now with Colsinger and Frias, and you have to worry about the older guys, Harang and Lackey. So Corbin, if he comes back and he's anywhere near what he was for you, it's going to be a nice boost for him to go along with Zimmerman.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of people were probably looking at him. He's one of the many pitchers that I've got on my watch list. I think it was just a matter of who was going to scoop him up first. And I didn't want to. I was out of pickups because I always run out about Tuesday or Wednesday. But I just didn't want to trying to pick up on him yet, but Brandon's decided to give it a go. So yeah, if he comes back and pitch pretty well, then it'll be a really good pickup.
I like the Corbin pickup as well. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed when he picked him up. I was thinking about it the day before and that day, and I just never ended up pulling the trigger. But I was a little disappointed that I didn't make the move. Let's go ahead and move it on to the power rankings at number 8. The Ghost.
Hold on. Is someone on speakerphone? Because we need to turn that off.
I'm on speakerphone, but I don't think that's me.
Okay. I'm not on speakerphone. It sounds like Darth Vader's in the background on some spot.
I can hear that too. Some heavy breathing.
Yeah, I don't have the phone up to my mouth.
Breathing, but I will tell you this: the guy next door to me moved out, and he left his pool full of crap water when he left, so the whole thing is full of frogs now. That's probably what you're hearing. It's just sounds of nature, guys.
Frogs. like how many frogs are we talking?
I hear it. I don't know, man. It sounds like I'm living next to a lake.
Well, my phone says like 41 and a half minutes, and we're only at the number like 10 or 11 speed.
Yeah, let's move it along.
All right, number 8, we got Big Boo. Brad lost 4-6 this week to Nick. He seems to be slowly finding his way down the power rankings after a strong start. He hasn't collapsed or anything like that. And I think his roster's okay, but I think a few of us, especially Drew, and maybe you guys too, don't really trust Brad as a manager. So, what do you...
No offense to Brad, I want to jump in here. It's just tough to trust the guy after he gives away Shields, and then, I don't know, that's all I'll say.
Now, Ben, you sent that text out earlier today that Billy Hamilton moved down to 8th in the lineup. That's got to be a little scary.
And after you give up Stanton, who hit 4 freaking home runs this week for freaking nobody, and then Jacob deGrom, who, yeah, he's a good pitcher, but I've already been over this multiple times. I'm getting worked up just talking about it, so I'll just keep my mouth shut.
I'll just say that when I looked at some of the season stats earlier this week, it looked like James Shields was leading the majors in strikeouts at one point this week. That may have changed now since somebody else got a start. But just another reason to be fantasy depressed.
Yeah, Shields is definitely rocking up the strikeouts. I wish he would get that ERA under 4, though. I mean, he may have gotten it under 4 this week. One big trade that we don't talk about enough is the Todd Frazier and Chris Davis deal. That was a pretty nice deal for Ben, who's got, I think Frazier has like 12 home runs and 4 steals. Chris Davis has not been horrible. He's got like 8 home runs, 21 RBIs with 230 average. I don't really trust him to keep it up. But that was a very nice deal for Ben.
Yeah, I did have to give him Francisco Liriano as well, though.
No,
sucks, but.
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you guys?
I like that, Frazier.
What do you guys think about Brad's staff? He's turned around a little bit. DeGrom had a good start late in the week, and Lincecum's been really good other than this week. I don't really buy it. But Sonny Gray, one of the top 5 pitchers so far this year, it's improved from where it was earlier in the year, but obviously he had to give up Stanton to help get it to where it is right now.
Well, I mean, it's not like Stanton really improved his stats. All he got was DeGrom.
Well, he also got Zach Britton, who's he had a rough week, but he's one of the maybe a top 10 closer, I'd say.
Look, I think it's fair to say that Brad's, after all the hazing and heckling he got, I'm pretty sure he's never going to make a trade again, at least for the rest of the season. So I think Brad's team is what it is at this point in the season. I don't see it changing too much in terms of personnel.
When you just look at the roster, do you think 8th is fair or too high or too low?
I don't think it's 8th based on talent, but I think it's 8th based on how active he's going to be.
Okay. Do you think the talent has potential to do better?
I think Brad had one group text all week, and that was today when he said something about Surge when we were talking about the soda and candy and all that. He did send me a couple of texts this week, just kind of talking back and forth about our matchup. But it's just he pops in like once a week and then pops back out. So I don't know.
Or if there's a crucial 6th veto, he'll pop in at 5 minutes till and spew his opinion, and then pop back out.
Hey, I think we give Seth all this crap. Why don't we give a little Melky Cabrera update here for Brad? Looks like we're sitting on 1 homer, no steals, and a 262 average.
Hey, Lisa.
Take that any chance you get.
Hector Rondon was the centerpiece of that deal.
that makes it no better.
I'd still take Melky over Lonnie Chisenhall.
Oh, Lonnie.
Oh man. All right. Well, let's move it on to number 7.
How's Lonnie doing this year?
Lonnie, he's doing nothing. Number 7, Mouth of the South, Big John, heading out to the East Coast this week, and he had a really strong week against Ben. Obviously,
That boy's Big John.
you mentioned the 4 home run week from Stanton. Pence came back, guns a-blazing. This team is a lot better than where it was on draft night, I'll tell you that.
That offense is definitely clicking right now. It's coming alive, I'll tell you that.
Really like some of the moves that he's made recently, and the pitching. Pitching hasn't been, what do you guys think about Strasburg? He's obviously a hot topic for debate, and he had a decent start today, at least better than what he's been. Quintana, a deal that he made with Nick to get Quintana, I'm not really high on him, but he had a great week. Just tell me what you guys think about this staff in general, if it's good enough to support what his offense is doing.
Well, I'm glad I got rid of Strasburg. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I watched that Washington-San Diego game, and Strasburg, he was pitching out of danger all day. I don't think he had his first clean inning until the 5th. So, it helps when you get 10 runs, score the run for it. I don't know. I think there's something injury-wise wrong with him. I do like, I like A.J. Burnett. I've tried to get him a couple of times, and it hasn't worked out. And Syndergaard, if he stays up, can be really good. But, a lot of the other guys, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop, like Jimmy Nelson and Phil Hughes.
And what do you guys think about Cargo? He had probably his best week of the season, but he's just been brutal for most of the season. What type of player would you be willing to give up for Cargo?
Toilet paper,
Cole Calhoun.
You would give up Calhoun for Cargo? Because I think he might do that. Oh, okay.
I gotta say, Cole Calhoun is one of the most unexciting double-digit O-rank players I've ever seen.
All right. Well,
If Mike Trout wouldn't strike out behind him all the time, he'd probably be a little more productive.
I just want to go on a quick side tangent. Why does Mike Trout hit number 2? Doesn't he hit in the 2 hole?
yeah, he does.
Why? What's the reasoning behind that? Shouldn't he be
Well,
taken off for hitting like 3 or 4?
Yeah, it's up for debate. Obviously he had his breakout season hitting a leadoff. I think a lot of the teams in the American League, specifically in National League, starting to change this around a little bit. But they put their best hitter at the number 2 because you want to try to get him more plate appearances throughout the course of a season, hitting him one spot ahead. And
is that why his steals have gone down? Because he doesn't lead off anymore?
I don't really think that has as much to do with it. It's just he's just I don't know if he's just trying to cut down on the running so he doesn't risk injury or what. I don't really think that has much to do with it though.
I think the Reds, that Votto's second now too, right?
Yeah, and it's starting to make a little bit more sense for some of the National League teams, like the Cubs specifically. They hit their pitcher 8th, so you get another second leadoff hitter, so to speak, hitting 9th to get in front of a number 2 hitter, so he's not hitting in front of just one position player.
You look at it. Chris Bryant's hitting second for the Cubs right now. Rizzo was hitting second for quite a while, so Bryant came up. Matt Carpenter got moved to second for the Cardinals. A lot of teams are starting to adopt that.
All right, number 6 in the power rankings for the second straight week. I've got Jordan there, the gold medalist, down 5-4 right now. He was very upset with the ranking I gave him last week, but to be honest, he didn't have the best stats coming off that big win that he had. So I felt that it was justified. No thoughts whatsoever. No, this is the gold medalist, Jordan's team. So he's down 5-4 to Uncle E. He had 11 home runs, 42 RBIs, a 296 average. The offense was really strong this week. Pitching was not. Obviously, he's got Sale, King Felix. He gave up Anibal Sanchez. I guess he's really got a lot of faith in James Paxton and some of these other guys, and I know that he's really excited about Jaime Garcia coming off the DL next week.
I take that back.
Really good when he stays healthy.
I take that back. I have Jordan and Axel as well as Jacob actually both showing interest in Price, but neither one of them actually sent me an offer. So, the reason I say bring that up is because me and Jordan talked about Price the other day, and we're talking about Jordan's team.
Oh, okay. Well, I think Braun and Marte, that deal that we made a couple weeks ago, they've both been red hot ever since. His outfield is stacked with McCutchen, Braun, Springer, and now he's getting Mookie Betts. He told me on the phone today that he is considering shipping Billy Butler out of town, his favorite first baseman. So we'll have to see what happens this
I'm
week.
more interested in who's wanting to trade for Billy Butler.
No, I don't think I think he's willing to cut him on the waiver wire is what I was trying to say.
Oh.
Wait, did you just mention Grandal?
No, I have not. He said that it's between those two guys. Which, frankly, I was a little surprised that he had cut Pagan over those two. Not that Pagan is anything real special, but...
Has anyone seen Grandal's picture on Yahoo?
Is it as good as the Bartolo Colon one from last year? Oh my gosh,
No,
that is an ugly-looking guy.
Sweet. But just go to the Yasmani Grandal Yahoo picture and look at his teeth. Does that not stand out to anybody else? I mean, I notice that every time I click on it, I click on him.
Oh my gosh.
I don't click on him very often, but clicking on him right now, and yeah, it does stand out. You think maybe he could afford a little dental work?
I don't think so.
Yeah, he looks like he's been doing some meth.
But...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, the good news is with Jordan's team, if he does trade Billy Butler, he can move Yasmani Grandal to first base. So.
All right. Well, it sounds like nobody really even.
I mean, this year, hadn't he?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, when he gets to play. Well, I think they're still rotating him and Ellis, aren't they?
They are, but I think they're starting to give him. I think they're kind of a platoon. AJ Ellis will start against the lefties, and Grandal, who I think is a switch hitter, but I think he's getting the starts against the righties.
Yeah, looks like Grandal started 6 of the last 7 games for them.
All right.
Now, do we really think that Iglesias will be on Jordan's team for the remainder of the season?
Oh, yeah, I love Iglesias.
Is that out of spite or because he actually likes him?
No, he likes him. I was talking to him. He mentioned Iglesias earlier today, but he did express some frustration that they won't move him up the lineup.
Well, look at his stats: 6 RBI and 8 runs on the season.
He leads the league in average, though.
Big whoop.
Wow, I didn't realize he had 6 RBI and 8 runs.
Look at that. He was single.
He was hurt for a while, though, wasn't he? Wasn't he hurt?
Let me see how many. He's got 103 at bats. I mean, I think most people are around 120, 130 right now, so he may have missed a few games there.
Oh, okay.
I think this is out of spite between the bet him and John made.
Oh, Colton Wong, home run. How does that affect the matchup between Jordan?
5-3.
Well, that just tied him in home runs.
All right, so Uncle E, big hit from Colton Wong. He's really, I have to admit, I like Wong as a player, but I had a lot of concern about him hitting 8th in the lineup, and he's moved his way up, hitting all over the lineup now. He's just been on fire for the past month or so.
He's a good hitter. He's a real good hitter. I'm telling you, that's a good deal there. Of course, he is only hitting 190 this week.
Yeah, 190 this week, but he had a really big week a couple weeks ago, and he's looking a lot better than old Jason Hayward is. So I think he's going to be starting to move up and take his spot in the lineup.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the number 5 team in the power rankings. Number 5, moving down from number 3, is Slender Man, also known as the Hit Man. That's myself, down to number 5 after a disappointing week. What do you guys have to say about my team?
I'd say that I don't believe you think that at all.
What are you talking about?
I think you're just trying to please the fans.
No, I don't know. I mean, I've got 3 guys in my lineup that are doing absolutely nothing, or not absolutely nothing, but that are big question marks. With Victor Martinez, who basically took the week off. He played like 2 games. Steven Souza, who I just picked up off the waiver wire, he's got a short leash with him, and then Marlon Byrd. Those are 3 very questionable spots in the lineup. And then the pitching staff.
I want to ask you about Steven Souza. Now, what's the likelihood of you asked me earlier about me cutting whoever it was. What's the likelihood of you cutting Steven Souza tomorrow?
I'm not going to cut him tomorrow, but I'll give him a few more days.
He leads the league in strikeouts.
Yeah, I know he's got a lot of strikeouts, but there's, I just want to see what he does with that home run and steal potential, because there's not a lot of guys that have that kind of combination of raw talent. But like you said,
for 2 weeks, he doesn't do anything but drain your average.
I think you got to do something, Ryan. I know you've been offered some outfielders here and there, so you got to make a move.
Here's what I've been struggling with is that I've got Rusney Castillo on my NA spot. I don't know when he's going to get called up, but I'm kind of high on him, and so I don't want to give up too much to get an outfielder, because I'm hoping that he can fill in that spot for me when the time comes. So that's kind of why I didn't make a deal with you for Calhoun. Although, if you would have given me that offer for Mookie Betts, whichever pitcher you were trying to get, I probably would have done that. I don't know if you would have been willing to do it or not, but you were trying to get one of my pitchers for Calhoun. I would have done it for Mookie Betts.
That was Garrett Richards.
Oh, well, I'll take that back. I wouldn't have done it for Garrett Richards,
Yeah,
but
I don't think you would have done it.
no.
What's your? Well, actually, this is a group question. What is everybody's thoughts on Carlos Carrasco?
I personally like him a lot. I know that his ERA is real high up there, but I was looking at a couple of my pitchers. I was looking at them on Fangraphs, trying to look at their FIP to try to guess to see if they've been unlucky or not. And Carrasco and Gio Gonzalez both have really struggled this year, but they have two of the top 10 FIPs in all of baseball. So I'm hoping that they just had a bad luck stretch here and that it'll turn on pretty soon.
Now, if Carrasco keeps this up, are you going to be trying to ship him, or are you just going to ride out the storm?
Well, I don't know. What do you mean? Hey, he's got a really good strikeout to walk ratio.
ERA up.
I mean,
strikeouts are nice, but the ERA is pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna ride him out for a while. I'm not gonna trade him at his current value the way it is right now because I think he's gonna turn it around. He did pitch a complete game today, although he gave up 5 runs. Yeah. I guess. Man, I felt like this entire week. I feel like until today, there was none of my pitchers that had a 1-2-3 inning. My WHIP was right around 170 going into today. It was just a brutal pitching week for me going in for this entire week, and somehow they still managed to have a 4.22 ERA considering the 149 WHIP. But it was an all-around bad week. But then again, I think I had probably some of the least at-bats of any team this week considering I didn't pick up another hitter to fill in for Victor Martinez, who didn't play all weekend and missed another game before they moved to the NL Park. So short on at-bats. It was just a bad week, though, and my average was due to hit the decline after hitting like 360 the previous week against Drew.
Yeah, it looked like Garrett Richards was your only pitcher to have a WHIP under 1.3 this week, other than 1 year releases. So.
Right. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the number 4 team, number 4. And this, I feel like this is going to be a little unpopular for this manager, but I've got March of the Penguin at 4.
I didn't march very far. I didn't march quite as far as I wanted to.
March of the Penguin is number 3 in the standings, just a half game back as it currently sits. Drew, tell me what you're thinking.
I'm thinking that the power surge that y'all said it couldn't keep up has kept up.
Well, you did have 12 home runs. Let me clarify on that. I think your team does have power. I just don't think it's very good offense as a whole. But they do definitely have power. I just don't trust it to hit for average or to get a lot of runs and RBIs on a consistent basis.
Okay, well, I guess that's a little more fair.
Yeah, Jay Bruce, had 2 home runs this week, which was nice, but 292, that's hitting way over his head. He's going to hit lower 200s most of the year. Charlie Blackmon hit for 190 this week. I just don't think he's going to repeat what he did last year. I'm not that sold on him. Upton's been fantastic. You got to love Brandon Phillips at second base instead of Jason Kipnis. And then my other concern is, Pablo Sandoval, when's he going to get hurt? But your pitching staff is still pretty incredible.
I felt like I did not get the ERA I deserved this week. Just so many.
What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that.
I had 3 leads blown, and I had.
Oh my God! No, I'm not doing that.
All right, no, Drew. Yeah, okay, because I don't think you realize that nobody else this happens to every team, but they just don't say anything about it. What was your ERA this week? What was your ERA this week?
4.25.
Okay, my ERA was 4.22. I had 2 wins. How many wins did you have?
Yours was 4.22.
Yes, and I had 2 wins, and you had a higher ERA and 5 wins.
Okay, so you had an ERA that was. I kind of went the wrong thing. I said I started out by saying I deserved a better ERA. I had a 1.19 WHIP. You had a 1.49 WHIP.
Okay, this is a battle of the whips.
Yeah, but where you may have been unlucky with your ERA, you were lucky with your wins.
I don't know. Whatever. I mean, the sweet
Drew, you won 8-2, and you're bitching about how you got unlucky.
No, I'm just saying I deserved a better ERA That's all.
Well, you shouldn't have won with a 257 batting average. So take it where you can get it. Quit complaining.
I didn't want to complain. He asked me a question about my pitch.
Just involuntary.
Now, Drew, before, I think Bruce hit a home run today and maybe yesterday also. How close were you to cutting him? Because I saw his average was dwindling down to like 160 before yesterday.
Not that close. Not that close. But I mean, he's definitely first to go out of the bunch. Well, I take that back. Brandon Phillips will probably go before then. And Valbuena hit 3 more homers after I cut him earlier this last week. So,
Valbuena, I was looking at him earlier. He's got like 9 home runs on the year, but only 15 RBI. It's crazy.
He's got 10 home runs now.
Oh, does he?
I do want to say, Nick takes all this credit about A-Rod, but Teixeira has the same amount of home runs, more RBIs, a higher batting average. I like the Teixeira pickup personally better than the A-Rod pickup.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot better than your Danny Duffy pickup this week. We'll say that.
I'll be honest, he was on my watch list.
Man, that guy.
I don't know how Drew can sit there and Drew needs to come over to our side on this whole wins category. That great, he had a 1.38 ERA, a .92 WHIP, 10 strikeouts, 0 wins. Last night he pitched stellar, and they lost 1-0, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not complaining because I bet on that game, but I'm just telling you, that's got to drive Drew nuts. And I don't know why he's sitting here fighting for wins when crap like that happens.
Drew's a purist. He likes to keep things how they are.
Oh yeah. Like I said, wins is fun. I mean, yeah, I don't have any more detailed explanation. I just think it's fun. It adds another element.
Okay. Luck? Does that really count as an element? It's like a coin flip. That's like why don't we put coin flips in the category? Whoever wins the most coin flips gets to win the category.
I'll just say it keeps me watching even long after my pitcher's out of the game.
All right, well, let's move it along. At number 3 in the power rankings, Waka Waka. So, Nick, I got you down there at number 3. You had a pretty solid week offensively, pitching-wise. You had a similar week to what I put up there. We struggled on that side of things. One thing that I've really liked about your team, and I have to tell you, I was real worried about him after those first couple weeks, but Michael Brantley, he's been really turning it up the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, he has. I mean, I think he started out the year with a bit of a back issue, and he was in and out of the lineup for the first couple of weeks. And ever since he got over that, I mean, he's been on fire. So I guess what he did last year is looking like it's pretty legit.
I just want to say I would have beat this team 5-3. I think I should be the number 3 team in the power ranking.
All right, I'm not that short-sighted.
No one cares.
A-Rod, I saw he hit an opposite field blast the other week, 3 home runs this week. So, what happens when David Wright returns? Are you going to find room for both of these guys in your lineup? Are you going to trade one? What's the deal?
I think that there's going to have to be a massive move, to make room. But, I would keep A-Rod around unless somebody wanted to make a trade offer for him. But I wouldn't drop him. So I would have to figure it out. It looks like Wright and Rodriguez have to figure out how to play together, and then someone else is going to have to make a move here.
Now, Nick,
I do want to say that I was watching these Yankees games because of Teixeira, and 2 of these 3 A-Rod homers this week were classic A-Rod. One was in the 9th inning when they were down 12-1, and the other one, it was another one where they were winning in a blowout. So, classic A-Rod hitting in a non-pressure situation where the game's already decided.
We don't ask him to be a situational hitter. We did that with us past.
So would you say that you've come around to actually rooting for him in real life? Well, obviously you're rooting for him since he's entertaining, but would you say that you've come around to actually liking him in real life?
Yeah, not particularly, but I'm not above it. I'm here to win. So if he's producing, then he's going to stay in the lineup, and it's go A-Rod, baby, all the way.
I like it.
Hey, I don't have a problem with him either. In real life, yeah.
I got to tell you, I read this story. I think it was in ESPN the magazine a few months ago, and it just told about how upset and depressed and how his life had been ruined from all the steroid deal. I don't know if I really bought all of it, but I did kind of feel sorry for him, and I didn't think I'd ever feel that way for A-Rod. I definitely like him better than Ryan Braun.
I feel like he's unintentionally funny.
I like, and he's also paid his due. I mean, he was suspended for a year. He did it. He's come back, and he hasn't been a problem at all. And the Yankees were trying to be jerks to him, and he's got to try to make the team, blah, blah, blah. Now he's Matt's third. I mean, whether you use steroids or not, the guy's still a great hitter. It doesn't change that. He's still one of the best hitters on that team. So, I'm gonna keep let the good times roll, man.
I gotta say, as a guy that owned A-Rod before, when you own him, your perception of him just changes. It's weird. I can't really explain it.
I guess I'm the only one that doesn't care either way if the players use steroids.
I guess so.
All right, well,
Nick.
let's move on.
So Nick, one last thing on your team before we move on. I know that you're really high on Addison Russell. You mentioned to me a while back that you would prefer him over Chris Bryant, and I don't know if you really meant that or if you're just kind of talking because he had just hit a home run or whatever. But anyway, if Derek offered you Starlin Castro, because I know you like Castro, say he offered you Starlin Castro and Chris Bryant for Addison Russell, would you do that deal?
Starlin Castro and Chris Bryant?
Yes.
I don't know. It'd be hard. I've already got 2 third basemen.
Oh, shut up. He's lying.
The legend that is A-Rod. So it's hard to say. Now, I'll tell you what. If he, I don't know. If he offered me Starlin Castro for Pedroia, and I can move Addison Russell up to second base, I might consider doing that. But it's hard to say. I don't know unless the trade is offered.
So you would trade Pedroia for Starlin Castro?
Let's see.
Interesting.
What if he offered you, what's his face, Castro for Lance McCullers?
For Lance McCullers? Oh, you talking about the rookie phenom called being?
I'm just trying to make a joke of a DL player.
He's not hurt. He's just not. He's getting the start tomorrow. He was down in the Astros Double-A, and he's one of their young studs. They're bringing him up to start tomorrow. It's a 2-start week for him, so we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, anytime you can take a pitcher from Double-A and get his first start ever in the majors, you got to do that. No, I'm just kidding.
Jump on it, man.
I'm just kidding.
Real quick, why is he skipping AAA?
Because they feel he's ready to go. They don't feel like he's going to get anything out of pitching in AAA, so they're bringing him straight up.
That dominant?
It's not that uncommon. That's not that uncommon. A little bit of a different situation here, but Jose Fernandez, I don't think he had ever pitched past Single A. He obviously made the team right out of spring training, but
Was he pitching over in freaking Cuba, or wherever he's Dominican Republic, or wherever he's from?
Well, he was only 20 years old when he made his debut, I think.
Only 20, but dodging bullets, flying over his head.
Right.
He was a mature 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was. His ERA was .62 and his WHIP was .90. 43 strikeouts to 11 walks was his stats at Double-A.
That's very nice.
Nothing too exciting here, but kind of weird to see Cole Calhoun with a 369 average for the weekend, 0 counting stats.
That's because Trout keeps striking out behind him. He gets on base every time, and then he's left standing there at first. He's got him and broke down Pujols and David Freese hitting right. That Angels lineup just sucks, man. I hate that Angels lineup.
All right, let's go ahead and move it on. We're already at 1 hour and 8 minutes. We've got 2 more teams to go. And at number 2, $1 Million Man. I got a new number 1 team this week.
There we go.
I agree. I was going to get on to you, actually, if you had me first again. That's my team. This is a team that peaked early, and it just kind of hadn't been bad or anything, but just kind of fallen back in with everybody else at the top. I can't complain about my offense this week because it was good, but the pitching is a little bothersome. It's now 2 weeks in a row, maybe even 3, that the pitching's just been definitely not that good. So yeah, I definitely deserve a slide in the rankings. I'm fine with that.
Now, Ben, just because I know that you're the biggest wrestling fan in the league by far, I mean you watch countless YouTube videos. You probably have like 40 wrestling DVDs for all I know. You love wrestling. So just tell me why, out of all the names, you went with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
But I don't know, $1 Million Man's a cool 80s wrestler. No real reason behind it.
Okay. So you're.
What's his face? John was not at the South, who's a big 80s wrestler. I mean, an 80s manager. So I had to go vintage, throwback 80s.
There you go.
Oh, you did change it. I didn't even realize. Okay, so who's the showstopper?
Shawn Michaels.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was a little bit before my time. Jock Peterson. I mean, this guy is an enigma. Although this week he really struggled. He did hit a home run, 4 for 27. You sound like you're starting to send out a few feelers on Jock Peterson. Is his time on your team done?
Oh, absolutely not. Nick's going to disagree with me just because I proposed him in a trade. But, no, I love Jock Peterson. Like I told Nick, he's my freaking avatar. So, I mean, yeah, I like the guy. I was, looking to make a big-time splash, big-time move. I felt like he was one of my more tradable hitters. So I kind of threw him in a couple deals. Just, I guess as you could say, maybe some feelers. But, well, I love Jock. I don't particularly see him one way or the other. I think he'll probably remain on my team. But, yeah, I like the guy.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to trading. I'm not opposed to trading anybody.
But are you looking to move him? What are you looking to move him for? Are you like a big time arm, or what's Jock Peterson's value? You clearly love him, and I know when you texted me on Saturday and wanted to offer him to me, you made it clear that you had never offered him to anybody before, except on Friday when you had offered him to Brad for Nelson Cruz and a deal that would have brought you Nelson Cruz and Sonny Gray. So you weren't 100% with me when you said that.
No, but to be fair, with all legitimacy, I actually had forgotten that because I have like 4 or 5 trade offers sent out at one time, and some of the players are the same, but some of them are different. And Brad's one of those players I sent out an offer to, and you don't hear anything back from him ever. He doesn't turn the trade down. He never responds. So I actually had completely forgotten that Jock Peterson was in the trade because that legitimately was the first trade that I'd sent him out in.
Did he never respond to you on that? Because he sent me a picture of the trade offer on Friday. That was the only reason why I knew you were full of crap.
No, I got a text back late at like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night saying all it said was, haha, man, blah, 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 like basically mocking the trade, which I don't understand how him or Seth, either one of them, can mock a trade after the complete raping and asshole ringing that they both received this year. Brad twice. So, I mean, yeah, that's what that situation is. Like I said, Brad's scared shitless to make any trade, so, I mean, I think I told Nick this. Brad's been moved to my no-trade list, along with a couple other people in this league that were already on there. So that'll be not the first, but that'll be the last time Brad receives a trade offer from me for the entire rest of the year.
I'm curious to know who those other guys are because Big Ben's no longer in the league. I guess Drew's got to be one of them because he's so hard to deal with.
Yeah, Drew's definitely one of them.
I thought you had Brandon on there too.
Brandon's on there, yeah. He's difficult to make a trade with.
All right, well, showstopper, you struggled this week a little bit, mouth of the south, although it looks like you got half a category back. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but you were down 8-2, weren't you? Or was it 7-3? Maybe I got it backwards.
Yeah, I think I probably was at one point this week, this today.
Yeah, Descafani let you down.
Yeah, I guess somebody, I don't know what, I guess I got one. Yeah, and Kessler got one.
I got to tell you, I was a little upset when you picked, and I know this isn't really a big deal, but I was a little upset when you picked up Chase Anderson. I was about to pick him up, and I think he could be pretty solid. Not nothing special, but I think he's a good pitcher to fill up the back end of your rotation.
Yeah, I had him last year for a little bit until he was good his first few starts, and then he just exploded. But he was on my watch list or whatever earlier in the season, and then Michael actually picked him up. And then I think he actually had a pretty bad start for Michael, so he cut him, and I picked him back up. He did that, so he'd been cut. He's actually been pretty solid since I got him. So yeah.
I got to say, I had no clue that Brett Anderson was owned in our league.
Yeah, he actually pitched a pretty good game for me. He was winning. I don't know, this was a rain delay or something, but he actually had a season high in strikeouts and was up to pull a Drew. He was up like 3-0 or something, and Sting blew the lead for him, so
yeah,
he didn't get the win, but yeah, he pitched a good week.
No, I do have to ask you, I noticed looking at your staff there that Chase Whitley is still active on your roster, and I guess I have to ask, are you assuming that the partial tear of his UCL is not a long-term deal?
No, like I said earlier,
not worth dropping him or DLing him.
No, like I said earlier, I typically run out of pickups 2 or 3 days into the week, and I was already out of pickups, so there was no reason for me to cut him right now if I can't pick anybody up. But yeah, you trust me, he will be. There's going to be a big time shakeout for the team tomorrow, probably. So he'll be one of the few that'll be axed.
Well, why don't you just trade? You can trade him to Seth.
That's a good point, actually. That's a very good point.
Hey, I'm curious, what are y'all's thoughts on Pineda after the 16 strikeout game? He follows it up with 5.1 innings, 1 strikeout, giving up 5 runs.
I think he's kind of. I think he's more of what his total week results are than one or the other. Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's a hard game to gauge Friday night because he's pitching in Kansas City against the team that strikes out the fewest in all of baseball. So you knew he wasn't going to get a lot of strikeouts, and just for some reason, I don't know how many chances you guys have had to watch the Royals this year, but I mean they're a team that just keeps putting pressure on and pressure on. So I would discount that one. I think Pineda's going to be a pretty good pitcher this year.
I thought it was funny when Ben sent that text today. F.U. Desclafani and Heston. One, I would have liked to have heard him say that out loud, see if he could get the names right. And then two months ago, did y'all know who those guys were 2 months ago?
Did anybody?
I knew who Desclafani was. I didn't know who Charlton Heston was.
I'm just being sarcastic. Like, that's completely unheard of for Drew just because he never picks up any young talent.
Oh, what?
I think ever since Drew picked up Kevin Gausman or whatever, and he burned him a couple years ago, he's never picked up a young pitcher since.
Jacob deGrom?
Did you have deGrom last year?
Yeah. I mean, this is boring, but whatever.
Yeah, let's move it on. Number one in the power rankings, new team, formerly known as I Like Big Bunts. It's now the Hardcore Legend. Ben, I need your help on that one. Who is the Hardcore Legend? This is Michael's team, by the way.
Well, it looks, judging from his photo, it looks to be old Mick Foley.
Yeah, it's Mick Foley.
Old Mankind himself.
Mankind, Dude Love.
So, not to get on too big of a tangent here, but
Kipnis will do this for you. Huh? Shoot you right up this power rating.
not to get on too big of a tangent here, but Ben, could you briefly explain? I believe that didn't Mick Foley have like 3 different wrestling personas? Just how did that work? I don't understand how that played out.
Yeah, he just had a bunch of alter egos. Nick sounds like Dude Love, Mankind, Cactus Jack.
Yeah, but then sometimes he just be Mick Foley.
Now, were they all? Were these all like simultaneous personas or just different times?
It was just there was no set thing.
All right. Well, anyway, the thing that I wanted to point out about Michael's team is that he has got a pretty terrifying offense to go up against right now. Prince Fielder, who's quietly in our league, it seems like nobody's talking about him, but he's hitting like 330, 340, hitting for a super high average. He's now recently starting hitting for power too. Mike Moustakas, I think he's.
This way.
What's that?
Who are we talking about?
Prince Fielder. Yeah,
still
so.
not hitting his weight. How big a boy are you?
Yeah, so I mean, with Fielder, the way that Moustakas and Kendrick are both hitting early on in the year, Ramirez, Trout, Bryce Harper, who's probably your National League MVP right now, and then Kipnis and even Choo Choo Train. He's really been hot the last couple weeks.
Jason Kipnis, 583 average for the week.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so what a lineup. This is I'm playing Michael next week, and I'm not looking forward to it.
I don't understand. Like, look at this. I mean, the hitting's been basically the same since draft night, and I wasn't too. This team didn't really concern me that much, but it's just been an absolute juggernaut in terms of hitting. Like, every week, it's just Michael just pours it on.
Now, you have to feel pretty good when you have a week where your second worst offensive player is Mike Trout. You got to feel really good about that. Is this the year that Moustakas finally breaks out?
It seems like he already.
He's the guy that the Royals. He's the guy the Royals have hitting second. And I mean, I tell you, he's been driving the ball to the opposite field. I watched that Yankees Royals game Friday night. It was just impressive. He was spraying the ball everywhere.
Yeah, I'm looking at Bryce Harper. He had that huge week last week, that historical week, and then he follows it up with 10 runs, 3 homers, 9 RBI, 2 steals, and a 5.22 average for this week. So he's just been absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, just to put that into perspective for a little bit. A couple of years ago, I think Drew had a team that hit 2 home runs for the entire week, and I'm pretty sure that they also, at least one of those categories, maybe both had single-digit runs or RBIs, or maybe he finally got to double digits on Sunday, but it was pretty close. So, I mean, Bryce Harper is basically as good as Drew's entire team a couple years ago.
That's pretty scary. It'll be interesting to see who Michael cuts with Josh. He's got Josh Hamilton on the DL, so I'm curious if he cuts somebody or not, or he just ends up cutting Hamilton.
Yeah,
well, I guess the question is, do you think that at some point he's going to have to move a piece or two off of this offense to do something about pitching?
I think he does. Yeah, I think he does, and I think he will. I think he probably is. I mean, I think he's probably looking at offers right now, honestly, just because his pitching. He's hitting so good. He's obviously going to need to get another pitcher because he's got Scherzer, and then I guess the margin's not bad, but after that, it's a pretty big drop off.
And yeah, Fister put the DL.
He just wants Fister. Yeah, so.
Yeah, he did trade for Yordano Ventura, who's really been shaky the last few starts.
I wanted to ask you guys about that. I like the trade for Michael, and I like Ventura, but what do you guys think about this guy? Is he as good as we all kind of think he is, or is he just kind of a mediocre pitcher?
Well, he last year he really wasn't as good as you would have thought, considering the hype, statistically anyway. His strikeouts, he wasn't a strikeout inning guy, and his whip was right around 130 or so. And this year, after he had those few hot starts to the start of the season, I thought maybe he is breaking out. Maybe I was wrong, but considering the way he's pitched, I think that he's not somebody that I would be wanting to trade for. I'll just put it that way.
I actually offered Michael. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I think he's a solid 3, possibly could pitch up to a 2, but I don't think he's ace caliber. I don't think if the playoffs started today, the Royals would have to feel good about him getting the ball on game 1. I think they're going to have to trade to bring in somebody, a Cole Hamels or some type of player like that if they're going to make a serious push. I don't think Ventura's the guy that'll carry it.
When you say a 2 or a 3, do you mean in real life or in fantasy?
I'm talking about it in real life. I think that in fantasy, you'd want him to be like your number 4 pitcher.
Yeah.
Probably. I think you probably want to at least have 2 or 3 that are better than him.
Okay. Yeah, so obviously Michael's offense has been a juggernaut. The pitching had a really, really bad week, actually. But that offense has been so good, it's hard for me to overlook that. Do you think that Michael, and any of you can chime in here, and Ben, I guess you're probably not the right person to ask, but do you think that he can win the title without a closer or or printing a category?
No. I'll say no because I've been there. I was the first one to do that. And if you're going to give away that category, because what I found out is the closers don't just help you with that. I mean, they'll get you some sneaky strikeouts and help lower your whip as well. He had one of the best offensive weeks I've seen in a long time. He only won 6-4.
That's a good point.
You know what? I think he can. I think he will. Not necessarily, but I definitely think it's possible. I mean, it hasn't been a big problem for him so far. So I mean, it's Nick's right in what he says. They definitely help you out chipping in other categories. But I mean, with his offense as good as it is, and as bad as everybody else is pitching, as bad as Michael's pitching is, it's not like there's that many other teams that are any better. So I think it's definitely possible.
Well, but I'll tell you, and what happened to me that year in the playoffs was my offense had a mediocre week, and all it's going to take is once you get to the playoffs is 1 week where your offense just doesn't happen, or you have somebody get hurt, and you can't give up that category anymore, or whatever it's going to end up costing you. So
yeah, I think it's wrong. He's been my Cardinals game just came back on. Can you still hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like the strategy. If you look at say Ben's team this week, he burned 4 pickups, all starters, and still only ended up with 71 strikeouts for the week and 3 wins.
Actually, I had a bench hitter. I was carrying a bench hitter all week, and one of my pickups was another hitter, so that's not entirely accurate.
Well, just by comparison, 71 strikeouts is pretty bad for a team of all starters. I don't like the strategy. I don't think, and Nick also left out the fact that you get some sneaky wins from closers as well, which I'm sure Ben will say is another reason we need to eliminate wins from the discussion. But
do you think it's right that somebody pitches 1 inning and gets a win?
If they didn't blow it, now the thing I hate is when they blow a save and then end up getting a win. I think that's cheap. I don't think you should be allowed to do that, but. Yeah, I think that's legitimate.
Yes, I disagree with that completely, whether it's fantasy or real life.
I'll just say that in terms of the strategy, for me, it's something that you can get away with in the regular season, but when you're playing somebody in the playoffs and they know that they only have to get 1 save to win that category, they can start dropping their closers, using those closer spots to stream. So that's the danger of it. And
but what if the other players can also pick if they drop the closer, what to prevent them from
Well,
picking the closer
yeah.
once they're cut.
Yeah, so
It only takes, what,
no,
1 or 2 days to clear waivers?
well, yeah, but the problem is that when you have to burn your pickup on a closer when the other guy's going to be streaming against you, you're putting in jeopardy wins and strikeouts at that point if you're going to use your pickup on a closer.
And not to mention, when they cut the closer, he's not available for 3 days. So, and if you're already in a playoff matchup, you're not even going to get him until 3 days later, which won't give you enough time to catch up.
So just something to think about it. Like if it was me going against Michael, I'd probably wait to get 2 saves and then start cutting my guys if it was the championship.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys are just assuming that's. I don't know. I mean, I see where you're coming from, but I don't necessarily think that's like a foregone conclusion the way you guys are talking about it like that.
And plus, you're going to be out of pickups once you get to the playoffs anyway, so you won't be able to pick up any closers.
I'm not planning on picking up any closers. I'm also going to have to curtail my pickups at some point.
I was going to say, there's a couple teams that are a little bit out of control.
But see, I'm also not afraid to use pickups like some of you guys are. So I know Nick's not afraid, but you and Ryan are a little more conservative with your pickups than other people are.
Well, 2 of us have won the title, and
I would like that.
And one of you is still with the worst fantasy team in the history of fantasy.
All right.
All right, well, that concludes the power rankings. Any final thoughts before we go?
Nope.
All right, guys.
When's the Seabiscuit marathon or whatever? Party?
Oh yeah, let's bring that up real quick at the very end of the podcast. You'll be still listening. So June 6th is the Belmont. Wife and kids are going to be gone to Tennessee, so if we want to have something over here, just a day of sports and keg beer and food. Then we need to get that worked out. Maybe we can get maybe Drew can get his brother to come down and we can see Seth in person.
We should see.
That'd be interesting.
We should get John B down here.
Oh, yeah, John B.
I think that I've been talking to him about going up there and catching a Cardinal game with him. So John seems like a pretty awesome guy.
Yeah.
I was going to say, don't the Cardinals play the Royals this week?
Yeah.
They're in Kansas City.
All right, guys. Well, it was a.
Is Kauffman Stadium as nice as Brandon and Ryan make it out to be?
I have not actually, believe it or not, I haven't been to Kauffman Stadium since they did the renovation.
Okay.
I enjoyed going there in high school. I mean, it was nice then. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to get up there this year. It's real nice. So the whole complex with Arrowhead and everything's real nice.
Now, let me just tell you, Kauffman. It doesn't look as nice on TV as it is in person. It's really nice. Ben would be going crazy over the fountains. You know how Ben gets about certain things.
Ryan's he's just a Kauffman apologist. That's all he is.
Ryan sprays his fountain over those fountains.
Yeah, he does.
Might be overrating those a little bit.
No, it's a sweet place to see a game. The fountains are going full blast in the middle of the inning, so when you're watching the game, you don't get to see the full fountain experience. Kansas City.
I'm glad they actually have freaking stands in the outfield finally.
They have a baseball field in the outfield. They got all sorts of stuff. They have a putt-putt course.
Oh, that's pretty. Kauffman Stadium's second rate.
No,
That's right. I'll say it.
Top notch.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to get this power ranking posted later tonight. Thank you for joining me on the show.
All right, man. Have a good night.
Hello?
I'm so